Time travel. It's a very difficult thing to get right in any creative piece of work. You may hear the phrase time travel and immediately be turned off, or perhaps you're like me and you're uber curious. Ever since I was a wee nipper, I had a fascination with time travel, and 3 weeks back a particular book piqued my interest. Today we'll be discussing that work, a book called The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. The Sea of Tranquility is a science fiction work published this very year in 2022 and written by author Emily St. John Mandel. For such a relatively short novel, it features many different characters, each from different parts of time, and each entwining with one another in a very special way. The novel starts in 1912, progresses to 2020, darts forward to 2203, and then finally to 2401. At the start, there isn't a main character as such, but instead a reoccurring one who appears at each point in time. I must admit, when I first began reading this book, I was worried the narrative wasn't going to come together. If you've watched other videos on this channel, you'll know I hate loose endings or mystical circumstances that aren't fully realised. I'm looking at you, Murakami, but I still love you. The first half of this book is you going through time and being introduced to each character. From the opening, you may think the book is set in 1912, I did myself, but although it stays there for a while, the majority of the book settles elsewhere. Now let's get to my thoughts on this reading experience. It's good, it's unique. The writing style itself is free-flowing and filled with space. I think that would be the best word to describe it. You see evidence of this in the formatting of the text itself. Chapters can be brief, paragraphs can be short, and as such the book moves at a continual and steady pace, even when you're in a world far ahead of our own with flying crafts speeding through the sky. This sci-fi is of the gentler kind. You're not going to be bombarded with mass detail of completely different political structures, economies, and societies. The future in this book isn't so much extravagant, but rather more practical, I would say. There are similarities to goals humanity has presently and influences likely drawn from the COVID-19 pandemic. The future the author speaks of is not perfect, and despite events taking place so very far ahead in time, it all still feels very familiar. The depth of this future has enough detail to keep you enthralled, but not enough to take centre stage. The Sea of Tranquility settles more on a moral question as it progresses. The main character, who is revealed later, faces a delicate question of fate, death, and intervention. I do have an issue with how this choice was made, and that relates to the pacing of it all. It just happened very suddenly and deserves a greater build-up. This book doesn't have many pages, and despite them being a joy to read, they were very few in number. The main character's moral choice could have benefited from many more. The introductory chapters are a little slow, and I'm sure you may find yourself wondering what is going on, but bear with the story, because as answers to your questions begin to appear, your desire to read only strengthens. I wasn't personally keen on the tales influenced by the recent pandemic, but that may be because I'm just tired of hearing anything that relates to the word lockdown. These sections are brief. In fact, a lot of the sections are brief. I'd describe this book as a small, steady and continuous breath, the kind you'd see on a winter's morn, and that description is by no means a bad thing. This book is very enjoyable. Whether you like sci-fi or not, I still believe this book will be accommodating to your reading needs. It is a touching piece of fiction that makes you, as the reader, question how you would act in a certain circumstance that the main character finds himself in. I do firmly believe, though, it could have been longer, and I would love to have learnt further detail. This is the first book I've read by author Emily St. John Mandel, and despite my critiques, I'm certainly excited to read more, because this book was quite an immersive experience that wasn't too overbearing. My friends, thank you very much for watching another book review here on DanWhiteBooks. Should you like to learn further information about this book, please see the link below. Should you wish to join our book club on Goodreads, please again see the link below. And should you wish to follow me on Goodreads, there is a link below. My book that I'll be reading next week is a book, well, not next week, in the next 2 weeks, is a book that I've read before. In fact, I've already reviewed it on this channel many years ago. It is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I am diving into that one again because at one point it was one of my favourite books, so I'm excited to go a little bit deeper into the themes in that book than what I did in the original review. Thank you very much for watching this book review, and I will see you here again soon. Happy reading. Bye bye.